One of the assignments from Chapter 5, or actually the majority of Chapter 5, looks at the special journals and ledgers. Oops. And special journals are basically journals that categorize transactions. So if we think about the general journal, if we put every single transaction into the general journal, what happens is that it's completely filled. It could be hard to find a specific entry. So if we use special journals, then we can easily go to a specific page and find what we're looking for. And there are 4 general journal or special journals. The first is the revenue journal, where you record all sales that are on account. So basically, you did a service and the people owe you money. There's the cash receipts journal, where what you basically record when you receive cash. There's the purchases journal, which is when you record all purchases on account. So if you think about a company that purchases equipment or supplies on account, like accounts payable, that would be an example of a purchases journal transaction. You made the purchase, but you haven't paid for it yet. And then finally, there's the cash payments journal, and it's where you record all transactions where you pay cash. When we use special journals, the only time we use the general journal is when we do adjusting and closing entries, or if there's some really weird, strange transaction that does not fit into one of these other categories. So you want to be able to get to the point where you can read a transaction and identify which journal it goes into. And when you complete your homework, it will give you transactions. So for example, here's exercise 5-4, and it's where you have to identify the journals. And it'll tell you which journals are your options: the general journal, the purchases journal, or the cash payments journal. And for this first one, it says purchase equipment on account. Whenever you make a purchase on account, according to our sheet here, we use the purchases journal. So you can read the transaction and figure out which journal it goes into. After you've gotten used to reading the transactions, you then have to post or put the transactions in the special journals. And so you go to your chapter, and you'll read the chapter, follow the information, and it will show you how to literally put the information in the general journal. So it'll show you, how to put things in the special journals. So it'll show you transactions that were in the general journal and how to post those to the revenue journal, the cash payments journal, etc. And your assignments for Chapter 5 have you transfer items to the purchases journal and to the cash payments journal. And so you would follow the examples in the textbook. So for example, I'm going to get my textbook out and look at one of the entries, and I'm going to complete one of them for you. This template is found in the additional resources section of your textbook. And you'll notice I have the purchases journal and the cash payments journal available for you, or your teacher does. And we would just read the entries. Whenever you see the word issued check, it means that you paid cash. So we have to use the cash payments journal. And I'm going to complete the first transaction. And you can follow your textbook here. So I have to follow the cash payments journal for the first transaction for exercise 5-17. And I would follow this page. The main thing is when we start this in a second, you'll notice that some accounts are debited to a specific account, rents expense, and utilities expense. And in these cases, when you're debiting the specific account, you literally got the bill and you paid it immediately. Or you bought equipment and you paid for it the second you bought it. In that case, you would debit a specific account. If you're paying a bill, like you made a purchase last month and you're finally paying for it, then you would debit the account title. So in your first one for exercise 5-17 says you issued check 57 to Liquid Clean Supplies for a payment or in payment of account of $275. So that's basically what your first journal entry says. So let's look at this one together. I'm going to just do it here, and you're going to basically, actually open this up and we can follow it together. So we would follow their example. So they have the date and the check number listed first. So the date is 8/1/14. The check number was 57, and the account debited. We are doing a payment of account. So remember, when you're paying an old bill, you put the business name. Okay? So Liquid Clean Supplies. And then I'm going to debit accounts payable because I'm paying a bill, and I'm going to credit cash. So what happens here is we're deducting cash since we no longer have it, and we are lowering our accounts payable or bill to that company. You use the other accounts debited column debited column when you buy something and pay for it immediately. You went and you purchased equipment and you paid for it this instant. Those types of things, okay? For all entries that say you made a purchase on account, you're going to follow the purchases journal example in your textbook. And in this case, all purchases, for the most part, will be for supplies. If the purchase is not supplies, then you're going to use the other accounts debited column. In one of your transactions, you basically pay for laundry services, meaning you had dry cleaning done. When you're purchasing laundry services, that uses the other accounts debit column. So you would follow the example in the purchases journal where they use the other accounts debited column. And the main thing is whenever you're doing your accounting from textbooks, you're always following the examples provided to you in the chapter.